The movie begins with a car being driven along a long, dark road. The car halts with a jerk in order to save a stray raccoon. The main protagonist in the movie, known as David, cusses at the road, while his wife, who he is about to divorce, asks him what is wrong. She dislikes the fact that he halted the car so suddenly and gives him a mean look. The couple is set to divorce. After the death of their son, Charlie, they could not bear to look at each other with love and familiarity again. The only reason they are together right now is because they are hiding the news of their divorce from Amy's mother, and they were on their way back from attending her party. They make small talk about a dream Amy was having, one where she was being strangled by David. He laughs and sarcastically replies back to this. Amy seems distraught. The conflicting couple have been lost for hours now, and both the people are at their wits' end. Amy cuts up an apple to eat a slice, but amidst her tiredness and frustration at being alone with a man she's about to divorce, she cuts herself, questioning David about why he turned away from the intersection. She glares at him. He replies back equally angry. They finally reach a gas station. Upon arriving, a stranger suddenly knocks at their window and tells them that the way that they headed is actually the other way. He takes a look at their engine and upon inspection notifies them of a discrepancy due to a rock hitting them. The stranger assures them that they will still be able to reach Downey, the town they are headed to. The couple thanks him and pays for his service. After driving a while, the engine makes a disturbing sound and the car stops in the middle of nowhere. The bickering couple has no choice but to walk at least 2 miles back to the gas station, where a motel was. The whole time they argue about their lost son. They knock at the gas station but no one answers. They keep walking and find a secluded motel. They hear some woman screaming and crying but still ring the bell. The motel manager climbs out of a room and tells them that the mechanic they are looking for will be back tomorrow morning, and that they are welcome to stay at the motel. He offers them the honeymoon suite. In the motel room, Amy and David settle down on the uncomfortable-looking bed. The bathroom, which is infested by cockroaches, grosses Amy out. The phone in the suite rings, but no one answers. After that, there is knocking on the door. However, whenever David asks who it is, there is no answer. The couple find this quite peculiar and disturbing. After having enough, David tells Amy to lock the door and keep lookout while he goes to the reception to complain about the noise. He rings the receptionist and complains to the smiling manager, who does not respond efficiently. David returns back to the room and turns the TV on. Amy gets annoyed by that. It seems weird that her soon-to-be ex-husband can't even look at TV right now. After none of the channels are working, David finds some tapes below the TV. He puts one on and is surprised to see a gory video of people being murdered. Upon further inspection, he comes to the hard realization that the room and the tapes are the ones they are in. He shows Amy and she is beyond terrified at what she is seeing. It seems unreal. The lights go out and flicker while the door bangs loudly. Scared, Amy tries to look for an escape. When walking to the bathroom, they notice the apple that Amy was eating in the car, now sitting on the bathroom sink. David and Amy decide to run out, but a tall, masked man starts walking quickly towards them. They have no choice but to run back to the room. They try to get the bathroom window open, but someone appears at the bathroom window as well. Having had enough, David and Amy both scream at the masked figures that keep appearing out of nowhere. David runs to the telephone booth and tells Amy to stay in the room and try to distract the killers. She keeps seeing someone by the window, outside by the booth. David calls 911 but is horrified when the operator turns out to be manager of the motel. David runs out of the booth as a car tramples on it. He rushes back to the room while the car is chasing him. Amy takes him in and hugs him close. Fast forward to a couple hours later. Amy jolts awake to see her husband watching the tapes. He seems to be analyzing them and comes to the conclusion that they are not safe even inside the motel room, as the killers have some sort of entry there. David fixes the bathroom curtain and notices a secret door on the floor of the bathroom. He opens it up and peers down. It's a secret door leading somewhere. Amy notices headlights and calls out for help. The man who is walking towards them does not notice the killers walking behind him. Turns out he's one of them and he comes to collect the tapes of people getting murdered. David and Amy walk down the secret door. They come across dirt and debris but have no choice but to continue crawling. David sees a huge amount of rats and he tells Amy to quiet down or the killers will hear her. They finally reach the end of the tunnel where they see a door. David opens the door and they both enter a room with a lot of TVs. They walk across the room and enter the reception area. They then block the entrance to the secret door with a bookshelf. The distress causes Amy to cry and apologize to David for her past mistakes, to which David assures her that nothing is her fault. They share a heartwarming kiss in that dire circumstance. 911 arrives suddenly and the manager walks with him while he checks the rooms. Seeing junk lying around, he questions the manager, who smoothly makes up an excuse. After roaming around alone, the policeman finally discovers the tapes of murdered people and pulls out his gun. Running back to his car, Amy and David run to catch up. But it turns out the killers have detached the car plugs. The policeman who gets out of the car to check the engine gets brutally murdered by one of the masked men. The couple, having no other choice, run back to the motel room. David finds a loose vent where he tells Amy to hide while he goes to get a gun from where the reception. After saying he loves her, David walks out slowly but the killer appears in front of him and stabs him. He crawls across the floor while the manager films his last moments. Amy has to keep a hand to her mouth to keep from sobbing. And as soon as the killers leave the room, she lets out a heart-wrenching cry. It appears to be morning. Amy climbs down the vent and crawls towards her husband's lifeless body. not noticing that the killer is behind her. She finally notices and runs to her car, hurrying inside and starting the car. One of the killers jumps on top of the moving car and breaks the sunroof, trying to grab Amy's neck while she drives. She crashes inside the motel room, hitting both the killer, killing one while the other is trapped by the car, slowly bleeding to death. Amy notices someone else coming and runs back outside. The manager discovers his helpers' bodies and cries out. Back near the manager's room, Amy grabs a hammer and waits for him to enter. No one walks in and she reaches up to grab one of the guns decorated near the ceiling. The manager grabs her from behind and chokes her with a belt. She stabs him in the eye. He punches her again and again, making her bleed and stutter. He sits her beaten body up against the couch and points a camera at her. She kicks him and tries to run again, but he grabs her and throws her on the countertop into the floor, failing to realize that he threw her right where the gun was. She grabs it and shoots him twice. He dies. Amy runs back to her husband. He takes a deep breath. Turns out he's still alive. She quickly calls 911 and notifies them of what happens. The disastrous night is finally over. Amy rushes back to David and kisses his face with relief.